guys, welcome back to another F4F launch stream. I'm your host Monmon, and today we are unveiling the latest addition to our Darksiders lineup. Now, we've previously released War and you guys loved it, and now without further ado, we are proud to present Darksiders Death Resin Statue! First off the bat, let's talk about his imposing pose. Death here is coming off the tree, hunched over, wielding his weapon, dual sights in his hand. His back foot is on the tree and his front foot has come down to the ground, crushing the arm of the skeleton on the base. Someone who is definitely not having the best of luck if he had to go against Death. Now, to make Death look even more like he's coming for you, his top half is not only hunched over, but the slight tilt of his shoulders help to enhance it too. Now, to better understand the work that went into the pose, you guys can check out this concept photo that our team came up with, which will pop up now! He looks menacing, as he should, considering he's the eldest of the 4 horsemen and the most feared. Now, his face is reminiscent of a skull with skeletal nostrils and eye sockets. The bone-like color further emphasizes its resemblance to a skull, and the cracks of his face that are highlighted with a dark shade reinforces the image that he is a warrior who has definitely gone through a lot of wars. Now, his fearsome eyes are painted orange to imitate his look in the video game. His hair is long and sculpted in a manner that makes the strands distinct, and it looks matted. In contrast to his dark hair and expression, the rest of his body is a blend of ghostly colors that attributes to one of his nicknames, the Pale Rider. Now, the muscles of his body are sculpted to be uncanny to the video game counterpart, and is defined by the use of purple that is ever so slightly darker. Now, the tone of the purple paint used has a bruise-like quality that really adds to the dead look that Death is sporting. Now, there's a mark on his shoulder that is sculpted to be indented, and texture has been added to make the gash-like mark look even more realistic. Now, what's interesting is Death has accelerated healing so quick that this mark must be something special. So, let me know your theories in the comments. Now, his body is a blend of having muscles like a macho man to show his warrior nature, and having a sunken ribcage and spine to tie in with who he is, which is Death. Now, his spine is sculpted to look realistic and, just the way I like it, gory. And it's been painted with a slight red tone to define the shapes and lines, which further enhances the contrast of the spine against the rest of Death's body. And finally, a detail that our team could not miss no matter what is the amulet on Death's chest. Now, the green amulet contains all the souls of his race, the Nephilim, whom he slaughtered. Now, the amulet was broken in his fight with the Crow Father, and it imbued itself in his chest. It's painted with a bright green that makes it look as if it's glowing. Now, the amulet is a very important part of Death as a part of his look and his story, so our team made sure it was not absent from this statue. Let's now move on to Death's outfit. He's wearing a purple scarf that's wrapped around his neck, and the natural creases are sculpted. The ends of the scarf that can be seen from the back are sculpted to look frayed. The texture added imitates that of a real fabric, so you know it looks real. Now, he also has ripped purple waistcloths, but as you can see, the edges are also sharper, making the ripped effect more visually impactful. And that is a credit to our team for using real fabric and sculpting it in that manner. Now, the Necromancer Armor is black, adorned with bone-colored features that are painted in a similar fashion to his face, but much more weathered. Now, his tassets, which are those flaps here used to protect his thighs, have a demon skull on each of them. The trimming of the belt and the flaps are sculpted to look as if multiple bones are fused together. Now, the paint job our team did really makes the bones look weathered and ancient, and the parts that are black on his tasset have very subtle creases to imitate the look of real fabric, and there are also little scratches to show wear. Now, the addition of a darker shade on top of the textured parts really emphasize the cracks and aged look of the armor. His gauntlets have a skeletal claw-like exoskeleton, which is really cool. And just like the other pieces of his armor, the forearms of the claws look as if bones were fused together to create it. And unlike the hard claw exoskeleton, the black arm brace has subtle stitch details on the side and is sculpted to look taut against his muscles. Now, another part of his armor that has skeletal features are his kneecaps. There is a skull on his kneecap, and the trimmings go down his leg in a similar fashion to his gauntlet. Now I love the skeletal element of his armor, as it is really poetic that Death uses bones as his armor and he is literally covered in death. For pants, Death has got on some really sick dark leather pants with brown leather straps. Now the texture on the darker parts have a flat grain leather pattern, whereas the brown straps have a smoother texture. Now it's these small details that show our team always goes the extra mile. The pants come down and are sculpted to imitate the foot of the pants drooping over the shoes. Now the natural folds sculpted help to represent the weight of the leather pants. And finally, his shoes are painted navy blue with a similar leather texture to his pants. From the back, you can actually see that his soles are painted dark silver and he has a brown strap wrapped around the shoe. Now the shoes are a subtle pop of color that does not distract from the rest of Death. We've gone over how he looks, so now let's move on to his weapons, the dual scythes. Now his scythe has 4 skull details, 2 on the top here and 2 at the base of the handle. Now the skulls on top are similar to how the skulls on Death's armor look, and they have a dark expression, and there are visible cracks on the forehead. Now the ends of the blades look as if they are horns coming out of the skull's heads, and in the center of the blade is an indent with markings that have been sculpted to look carved out. The blade itself is designed to look sharp and jagged, and with the addition of the cracks, it really makes the weapon look even more terrifying. Now the jaggedness of the blade design carries through to the handle, though in a much more subtle manner. There are little rivets on the handle that look almost like thorns, so as you look further down, the handles end on a more edgy note with a small skull detail and the 2 horn-like shapes that curve downwards. Now the entirety of the blade is silver, and most of the handle is as well, with the exception of the purple straps wrapped around the handle. Now the silver chosen is distinct and has a sheen that makes the scythe look even more like metal. And now to go with the awesome Rider of the Dead is an awesomely detailed and inspired base. Now the base design is inspired by the Kingdom of the Dead, which is similar to Purgatory, where souls are judged before they reach their final destination. On the base is a huge branch that Death is walking down from, and the branch has thorns all across it that has been sculpted to look 3-dimensional. Not only that, the branch is sculpted to look like it's protruding from the base in a winding manner, which is reminiscent of how the tree branches looked in the kingdom. At where it connects to the base, the colors are redder and brighter, but as it extends, the vibrancy fades completely. Now the texture of the branch is reminiscent of the wood that peels from the tree when it ages, and the cracked look of the branch paired with the winding structure and thorns really help to create a bold look. At the base where the branch protrudes from, our team added details in the sculpt to make the floor look as if the branch grew and broke through it. On the sides of the base, the design is based off of the architecture in the Kingdom of the Dead. The sides are sculpted to look like bricks and have been painted with a warm gray, except for the brown strip along the center. On the brown strip are small little skull ornaments that have also been sculpted to look 3-dimensional. The expression of the skulls are akin to the other skull decorations on Death's armor. The bricks have cracks which are emphasized by a darker shade, and it beckons to the ancient quality of the Kingdom of the Dead. And on parts of the trim of the base, our team has added candles as seen in various parts of the kingdom. I love how our team has sculpted them to really look like they've burned for a while and are just melting off the edge. Now the color gradient from a subtle yellow to white further adds to how old these candles may have been in the game. The final detail of the base is the skeleton at Death's feet. A small detail to note is how Death's foot is on top of the skeleton's forearm, as if he is crushing it as he steps down from the branch. Now the skeleton is painted in a different color than the skeletal features on Death. Here, our team has painted this guy with a warmer hue, to perhaps allude to the fact that this corpse may or may not be fresh. And with his mouth agape, I can only imagine just how unlucky he felt facing Death. Now his skull is sculpted, of course, and the distinct style from the video game is present here. Now the way that his cheeks look gaunt and the way that we can see into his sockets and see those creases really show the unique stylizing of the video game. Now, before we move on to the exclusive edition, let's watch a recap of all the details in the standard edition of Darksiders Death Resin Statue. Roll the clip! Okay, that was our beautiful standard edition, which means now we get to talk about the exclusive edition of Darksiders Death Resin Statue. Now for our exclusive edition, the details are all consistent with the standard edition, so no need to worry about that. Now with such awesome details, our team has added LED functions to the eyes and the amulet in his chest to further enhance the magical aspect of Death. Now he is a spellcaster after all. Look! This is our static mode, which will light up Death's eyes and amulet. Once on, the eyes are even more piercing. Another feature we added just for the amulet is the animated mode. Now the way that the light pulses makes the amulet look alive, as if to represent all those souls that are just writhing within. Now one thing to note is that the animated mode only applies to the amulet and not the eyes. So when you switch to that mode, the eyes will remain lit up in static mode. And let's say we turn off the lights. Now Death's glowing eyes look even more striking, as if he is about to pounce and his amulet looks bright and alive. Imagine you're home alone and amidst the darkness you see two piercing orange orbs just staring back at you. I'd be delightfully scared. Now having the LED function in the exclusive edition is always great, as it allows for you guys to have choices when it comes to displaying the statue and telling the story. Now let's watch a recap of all the features in the exclusive edition of Darksiders Death Resin Statue. Roll the clip! That was a great recap. Death, also known as the Kinslayer, is the most feared amongst the four horsemen, and thus has a variety of weapons available to him. So we decided to include interchangeable weapons in the definitive edition of Darksiders Death Resin Statue. Now with this edition, our team has included a claw-type weapon, which helps to represent one of the many secondary weapons that you can procure and use in the video game. Now these claws have got some sweet details, so let's go over them. Now the claws are designed to look like they go over the gauntlets that Death already has on, so we can still see some parts of it, such as parts of the forearm. Now the claw weapon has 3 blades acting as the claws, and they are sculpted to have a few jagged parts that would act like hooks that will definitely rip some flesh out. Now the base of the claw that covers the front of Death's hands has a skull detail with 2 bone spikes protruding from the side. Now the skull is sculpted to look 3-dimensional and is supposed to look eerie and inhuman. Now the style of the skull is akin to the stylization of the video game. That and the spikes are painted with a bone color. But for the spikes, there is an orange added as gradient to show weather and age. Furthermore, the cracks and scratches of both features are highlighted with the darker shade, and it makes them look battle-worn. Now underneath the skull detail, we have texture that's been added to make the material look a bit more distinct. Now the silver parts of the claws are sculpted to be 3-dimensional and are not supposed to look perfect or symmetrical, with the addition of scratches to show the wear and tear from battle. Now the uneven surface of the silver parts is the small detail that helps reinforce the rugged aesthetic. Now the silver used to paint these parts have the same sheen as his dual sights, so they look consistent. Now the claw-like weapons are such a nice addition that provides a different vibe than the dual scythes. Considering claws are more close range than scythes, it creates a different aura for Death when he puts them on. With the definitive edition, we've also included 2 LED functions for the eyes and the amulet, static and animated, which will definitely offer even more ways for you guys when it comes to displaying Death. Now, doing the research, I've come to learn that Death is a character with layers, and just like his character, the different extra features in the definitive edition represent the different aspects of Death's story and personality. Now with that, let's watch a recap of all the features in the definitive edition of Darksiders Death Resin Statue. Roll it, boys! we are back. Here we have the definitive edition of Darksiders Death, which comes with interchangeable claw-type weapons, alongside the exclusive edition of his brother, Darksiders War. They look so good together, and their statues represent their respective characteristics perfectly. Now for those of you who may already own War at home, you guys can now see how they look side by side. Now let's talk about pricing. This is the price for our standard edition, and it will be available for you guys to pre-order on our website and at your local retailer. This is the price of the exclusive edition, and it will be available for pre-order only on our website, first4figures.com. This edition will come with 2 LED modes, static and animated, for his amulet, and static mode only for his eyes. And finally, for our definitive edition, this is the price, and it will be available for pre-order only on our website, first4figures.com. This edition will come with 2 LED modes, static and animated, for his amulet, and static mode only for his eyes. And it would also come with a pair of interchangeable claw-like weapons for you guys to swap out with the dual scythes. So, to recap, these are the prices for all editions. All prices indicated here exclude local taxes and shipping. So for example, the EU, UK, and Australia regions, prices will look different on our website, as they are already inclusive of sales tax. We are running an early bird offer till this day, so be sure to place your orders quickly within that time frame to take advantage of this limited time offer. For our website's pre-orders, we offer payment plans with extra fees for those who wish to purchase in installments. We also have warehouses in the following locations, which means no import fees for these regions. Shipping costs to your country are estimated at checkout time. The final cost will be shown on the invoice, which will be sent to your registered email when your order is ready to ship. Thank you for joining us in our launch stream for our Darksiders Death Resin statue. Check us out on our website, first4figures.com, for more details, and follow us on our social media channels so you don't miss out on future F4F news and teasers. We also have an amazing community on Facebook called the First 4 Figures Official Collectors Club, where we chat with our members, run polls, post behind-the-scenes content, giveaways, and much more. So don't forget to check us out. Lastly, pre-orders are now open. Links are in the description. That concludes today's launch stream. Thanks for joining us today. F4F is love, F4F is life, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye!